Warm sunlight poured through the suburban park like honey, slow, golden, unbothered. And yet, today, something was about to break beneath that calm. A black woman sat alone on a weathered bench, legs crossed, posture composed, every detail crisp and intentional. Tailored blazer, silk blouse, minimal jewelry, laptop open, screen reflecting in her glasses. Jordan Blake, 34, Brookside's new civil rights commissioner. The woman responsible for reviewing police conduct, including that of the men walking toward her. But they didn't know that. Officer Pratt spotted her first. Broad chest. Sunglasses are too dark. Steps too confident. Officer Mills followed. Younger. Leaner. The type who laughed at the wrong time. To them, she was just a woman occupying a space they believed belonged to them. Pratt's voice cut through the warm breeze. Mocking. Sharp. Lazily aggressive. Morning, ma'am. You can't just sit here all day. This isn't a private office. Jordan didn't look up. She simply typed. Calm fingers on calm keys. I'm on my lunch break, she replied. Public space, isn't it? Mills chimed in with a smirk she didn't bother to see. Sure, but people are starting to feel uncomfortable. Jordan finally closed her laptop. Slowly, deliberately. People, she said evenly. Or you. Pratt laughed under his breath. The kind of laugh men use when they think the world is their locker room. You know, he said, an attitude like that can get you cited for obstruction. Jordan's eyelashes lifted. That was it. Just a slow lift. You're harassing me without cause. Pratt leaned in. Close enough that the sunlight turned the sweat on his forehead into a highlight. You want me to make a cause? Mills chuckled behind him. Move along, sweetheart. Phones rose quietly around them. 3 passers-by. 2 teenagers. 1 jogger pretending to retire his shoe. Jordan kept her heartbeat level. Pratt reached for her ID. Let's see some identification. She handed it over without flinching. He scanned it lazily until the title hit him. City of Brookside. Civil Rights Commission. A scoff. That's cute. Jordan's chin lifted half an inch. You should memorize that name, she said softly. You'll be saying it again soon. The officers made her pack up her things anyway. Muttering. Posturing. Assuming domination they hadn't earned. And the cameras kept recording. By the time Jordan reached her car, the jogger who filmed everything had already posted it. By the time she arrived back at her office, the clip had hit 12,000 views. By nightfall, 310,000. 3 captions trended. They told her to move along. But she was the reason they had jobs in the first place. Sometimes the person you disrespect in public signs your paycheck in private. Jordan read none of it. She prepared paperwork. Because tomorrow morning, 2 men would walk into a room thinking they were in trouble. They had no idea how much. If respect should never depend on a badge or a uniform, subscribe and share. Your share might be the reason someone learns the lesson early. Morning hit the Brookside police precinct like a hammer. Phones rang. Doors slammed. Officers moved with the usual mix of boredom and caffeine. But in one hallway, one narrow, flickering hallway, 2 men felt the air closing in. Officer Pratt walked fast, jaw tight. Officer Mills followed with a shaky swallow. They'd both received the same unexpected message. Mandatory disciplinary hearing, 9 a.m. sharp. No reason listed. No explanation. Just a time, a room number, and a tone that meant don't you dare show up late. Pratt scoffed as he walked. This is probably about that report mix-up, he muttered. Mills nodded too quickly. Yeah. Or that parking complaint. The lady with the dog, remember? She complains about everything. Pratt grinned, but it didn't reach his eyes. Neither man had slept well. Because overnight, something had begun boiling on the internet. something they hadn't seen, but felt. A shift. A pressure. A whisper in the dark saying, "You messed with the wrong person." The blinds were drawn. The projector was on. 3 captains sat at the table. And at the center, a woman, back straight, hands folded, a badge gleaming beside a stack of printed reports. Pratt froze mid-step. Mills bumped into him when he stopped, because seated under that unforgiving fluorescent light was Jordan Blake. No sunglasses now, no park bench, no soft breeze, just authority sharpened into a blade. The mayor stood beside her. A few officers in the back whispered under their breath. No faces shone, just silhouettes judging silently. Pratt's throat clicked as he swallowed. Mills' palms went damp instantly. "Gentlemen," the mayor said warmly, "you're here because of an incident at Brookside Park yesterday." Jordan pressed a button. The projector hummed. And then, the sound echoed through the room like a confession blasted on speakers. "Move along, sweetheart." A few titters of disbelief rippled through the officers watching. Then the next line hit. "You want me to make a cause?" Freeze frame. Zoomed slightly. Every word is crisp. Jordan didn't raise her voice. "You didn't just disrespect a woman," she said. Her calm was lethal. "You disrespected your oath." Pratt's fists clenched. Mills kept staring at the floor as if it would swallow him. Jordan continued. "You thought power came from your badge." A pause. "But it comes from integrity." Silence filled the room. Thick. Heavy. Waiting to crush someone. The mayor slid 2 folders across the table. Suspension papers. Unsigned, but inevitable. Pratt inhaled sharply, rage flickering. "Commissioner, this is out of context. We were doing crowd control." She was acting. The mayor cut him off. "Officer Pratt, the only person who acted was you." Jordan's eyes stayed on him. Not angry, not emotional, just knowing. The room suddenly felt too small, too bright, too unforgiving. Because for the first time in their careers, these men realized that their words, their tone, their entitlement, had finally outrun their excuses. But the story wasn't finished. Not even close. Because a question lingered in that stale briefing room. How many people had they spoken to like that? How many hadn't filmed it? How many weren't Jordan Blake? Jordan clicked off the projector. "We'll reconvene after reviewing your full conduct histories," she said. It wasn't a threat. It was a promise. The door opened behind them. A captain stepped forward silently with a list. A long list. Pratt glanced at it and felt his stomach cave in. Mills blinked hard. The hearing was only the beginning. A full investigation was coming next. Share and subscribe this story. The video didn't just go viral. It metastasized. Views spiked. Comments flooded in. A local news crew parked outside the precinct by noon. Jordan watched the tide from her office window. No celebration. No triumphant smile. Just work. She opened the folders the mayor had handed her. Complaint files. Interview transcripts. Body cam clips. Citizen statements. Page after page. Same words, different faces. Rude. Unnecessary force. Escalated when there was no reason. Patterns emerged like fingerprints. Pratt. Mills. Same precinct. Same MO. Jordan's fingers traced dates. Small clusters at first. Then a line. A steady bleed over 3 years. She leaned back. Thought tightened. Someone had been letting minor incidents slide. Or burying them. Or, worse, encouraging the attitude. She pulled up an old internal audit. 2 names repeated. A supervisor's initials beside them. Jordan's jaw tightened. She'd been appointed to clean up patterns like this. She picked up the phone. Pratt paced in a locker room. He shoved a towel at Mills. "We're screwed," he muttered. Mills rubbed his temples. "Not yet. We can spin this. Tell them resistance. Tell them she was belligerent." Pratt laughed a thin laugh. "Belligerent? She's a commissioner. That's rich." They watched the news on a tiny TV. A Chiron read, "Civil Rights Commissioner targeted, officers suspended." Anger coiled in Pratt's shoulders. Humiliation dug under Mills' eyes. They needed direction. They needed backup. So Pratt did what scared men do when the ground gives way. He called a familiar number. A higher up. A supervisor with a way of making small problems disappear. She convened a small panel. Quiet. Focused. Legal counsel. A data analyst. One trusted investigator she'd kept from her civilian oversight days. They mapped incidents. Cross-referenced timestamps. Matched patrol logs against complaint filings. Traced body cam footage that hadn't been on the public record. The investigator, quiet and blunt, looked up. "There's a cluster," she said. "Same shift. Same squad leader. A pattern of downgraded complaints." Jordan felt the room tilt. "You mean someone buried them?" she asked. The investigator nodded. "Or redirected them. Filed them under community concerns so they never triggered formal reviews." Jordan's hands were steady. Her voice was calm. "Pull the audit trail. Who signed off on the case closures?" They did. And a name surfaced. A name with influence. A name that explained how Pratt and Mills had flown under the radar. Protests began small. Chants. Signs. Park benches filled with people not letting the moment go. A local pastor led a prayer vigil. A group of students staged a silent sit-in. The mayor held a press conference, hands shaking just a little. "We will not tolerate misconduct," she said on camera. "We'll get to the bottom of this." The clip played across feeds. Jordan watched the reactions. She felt a responsibility that stretched beyond paperwork. This was bigger than two officers. This was about the system that protected them. He met his supervisor in a quiet bar. Low lights. A glass clinked. The supervisor, Calloway, was tall and had a way of smiling like a judge who'd already decided. Pratt explained. Mills nodded and added dramatic flourishes. Calloway listened. Then he smiled that slow smile. "Let me handle it," he said. "Talk to my guys. We'll frame this, officer safety, misinterpretation, overreaction." Pratt exhaled relief like a man who'd found a life preserver. Unseen by Pratt, someone filmed them leaving the bar. A passerby caught Calloway's arm on camera, gentle, reassuring, like a partner in a plan. The clip was small, but it would matter. She requested internal emails. She subpoenaed patrol rosters. She asked for Calloway's disciplinary history. Access was slow, resistance subtle. A clerk misplaced a folder. An IT request lagged. But Jordan's team persisted. They unlocked an exchange, 3 months old. Calloway to Pratt. "Keep the numbers down. There's political pressure. Don't make waves." Jordan felt the air leave the room. Political pressure. A shield placed over a rot no one wanted to see. She took a breath. This wasn't just about misconduct. It was about cover-ups. It was about power. The video hit 1 million views that afternoon. The hashtag trended. Local influencers posted reaction videos. A national outlet asked for a statement. Jordan published a short, pointed release. "No one is above review," she wrote. "Not in Brookside. Not ever." She scheduled a public council hearing. Open. Televised. Transparent. Pratt sweated through his uniform. Mills could barely sleep. Calloway tightened his grip on the steering wheel like a man who felt the brakes failing. If silence protects wrongs, sharing brings light. Share and subscribe this video. As the hearing date approached, Jordan's investigator found one last file. A small audio file labeled only with a date. She played it. 2 voices. Low. Familiar. Pratt's voice. Mills' voice. But not at a park. Not with a citizen. A recorded station locker room conversation. Pratt laughed as he mimicked a complaint. Mills offered to chill, a report. Then a voice, Calloway, saying, "Keep it off the books. Politics don't like noise." The recording ended with laughter. Jordan let the silence sit. This was the moment that would change everything. This was not only about 2 officers on a park bench. This was about a system that had been told, openly, to hide its mistakes. And Jordan had the recording. A legal weapon. A public guillotine. But before she could release it, someone sent her an anonymous message. "Be careful who you dig up. Some roots bite back." Her phone vibrated. A warning. A threat without a face. Jordan looked at the folders. At the recordings. In the city. At the park bench where it began. She inhaled. She refused to step back. But she also knew, now, this would get uglier. Much uglier. The Brookside Council chamber had never been this full. Not for budget meetings. Not for elections. Not for anything. Rows of chairs pressed shoulder to shoulder. Reporters packed the aisles. Phones hovered like satellites above every seat. Security officers lined the edges, stiff, expressionless silhouettes. At the center, a single table, a single chair, a single woman sitting with her spine straight and her resolve sharpened. Jordan Blake, Civil Rights Commissioner, calm at the center of a gathering storm. She placed 3 folders neatly in front of her. Then the USB drive. Then the disciplinary summaries. Everything arranged with the precision of a surgeon preparing for open heart. Because that's what this was. Surgery. On a broken system. Order. This session is now open. Her voice carried across the chamber like it had a duty to perform. Clean, crisp, and shaking slightly at the edges. Behind her, the mayor sat stiffly. Hands clasped. Eyes heavy. The mayor hadn't slept. Jordan could tell. The city was watching. And pressure had a way of squeezing truth out of even the strongest officials. Jordan didn't look at the cameras. She didn't need to. Her focus was on the 2 officers being escorted inside. Pratt's walk was all forced confidence. Mills looked pale under the lights. The crowd murmured. A wave of disapproval. A reminder that the city wasn't buying the excuses they'd rehearsed. When they sat, neither looked up. Council President Avery spoke first. "Commissioner Blake, you may present your findings." Jordan stood. The entire room seemed to stand with her, silently, collectively, breath held in ribs. She began with a simple sentence. On Tuesday afternoon, 2 officers approached a citizen with no legal basis. Phones raised. Cameras blinked awake. She continued. They attempted to remove her from a public space without cause. They used language inconsistent with department standards. They escalated a non-incident into harassment. Mills swallowed. Pratt's left leg twitched. Jordan clicked the projector remote. The viral park video played. Pratt's voice echoed across the chamber. "Move along, sweetheart." A hiss rippled through the crowd. Another clip. "You want me to make a cause?" Council members shifted in their seats. Embarrassment. Anger. Recognition. Jordan paused the video. "This behavior violates 3 sections of Brookside Police Code," she said. Professionalism. Respectful conduct. Unjustified escalation. She placed her hands on the table. And it wasn't an isolated incident. Gasps. Whispers. A tilt in the atmosphere. Jordan opened the first folder. Over the past 3 years, there have been 15 complaints against these officers. She laid out printed pages. Excessive tone, improper conduct, escalation, disrespectful interactions. She opened the second folder. 8 were downgraded or reclassified. She opened the third. 4 were closed without investigation. Council President Avery frowned. By whom? Jordan slid the final sheet forward. Sergeant Daniel Calloway. A collective exhale swept the chamber. Calloway, sitting in the back, shifted slightly, jaw tightening. Hidden in the crowd, but not hidden enough. Jordan didn't look at him. She clicked play on the audio file. Voices filled the chamber. Pratt, people complain too much. Mills, I'll chill the report. Calloway, keep it off the books. Politics don't like noise. The room erupted. Shocked murmurs. Gasps. A council member covered her mouth. Calloway's composure cracked like ice under heat. Pratt closed his eyes. Mills shook his head slowly, disbelief turning into dread. Council President Avery banged her gavel. Order. But the order was gone. Truth had detonated. Jordan's voice cut through the chaos, soft, even, unshaking. This is not about punishing 2 officers. It is about identifying a pattern of misconduct, protected by a supervisor who believed silence was easier than accountability. Every camera in the room captured the line. Every reporter typed it furiously. The mayor leaned forward. We will be issuing immediate suspensions, she said. Calloway stood abruptly. Madam Mayor, this is being taken out of. Avery slammed the gavel again. You will speak when recognized. Calloway's nostrils flared. A man who had lived in impunity, now realizing the ground under him wasn't solid. Jordan watched him carefully. His stare wasn't angry. It was calculating. A warning without words. Just as the next phase of the hearing began, a door at the back opened. A woman walked in. Early 50s. Sharp suit. Confident stride. The crowd parted instinctively. Avery blinked. Officer Ramirez? You're not scheduled to testify. Ramirez nodded politely. I requested to be added. I have information relevant to the record. Jordan's heartbeat steadied. She knew the look. Someone who had been waiting a long time to speak. Ramirez took the stand. Her voice was controlled, but righteous. I filed a misconduct complaint last year, she said. Against Sergeant Calloway. Jordan's pulse quickened. Ramirez continued. He ordered me to reclassify civilian complaints. Told me not to add certain phrases. Said if I wanted to move up the ladder, I had to understand the system. The room went silent. Pin drop silent. Ramirez looked directly at Calloway. You told us to protect the department, but what you meant was to protect you. Calloway's face twitched. Rage. Fear. Exposure. Commissioner Blake, Ramirez finished. I'm here to support your investigation fully. That was the moment everything shifted. The moment Jordan realized she wasn't alone. Calloway realized the opposite. And Pratt and Mills? Their eyes widened with a dawning horror. They weren't just facing suspension. They were about to become the first dominoes. As Avery prepared to conclude the session, an officer hurried into the chamber. Breathless, sweat forming under the collar. He whispered urgently in the mayor's ear. Her expression changed, stiffened, darkened. She whispered back, "Are you sure?" He nodded. The mayor stood slowly, looking at Jordan. "Commissioner Blake, we need to speak. Now." Jordan frowned. "What happened?" The mayor swallowed. "Something concerning. Something related to your case." The officer stepped forward and whispered the words that cracked the story open. "Calloway's missing." Jordan stared. "Missing?" she echoed. He nodded. "No one's seen him since the break. His car's gone, and he left a message on his desk." Jordan's pulse hammered. What message? The officer handed her a single sticky note. 6 words. All in sharp handwriting. All the same chilling threat. Some roots bite back. Stop digging. Jordan's breath caught. The chamber erupted into chaos behind her, but her eyes stayed locked on the note. Because she recognized the handwriting. The same handwriting from a message she'd received days earlier. The threat wasn't random. It was orchestrated. And it hadn't been meant to scare her. It was meant to warn her. You just uncovered something much bigger. Chaos rippled through the council chamber. Reporters shouted questions. Council members demanded updates. Pratt and Mills exchanged terrified glances, suddenly aware their protector had abandoned them. But Jordan didn't flinch. She held the sticky note. 6 words. Hard edges. Clear handwriting. A threat dressed as a warning. Some roots bite back. Stop digging. The same message she'd received anonymously. Not anonymous anymore. Jordan looked up at the mayor. Where was this found? On Calloway's desk, the officer said. Right before he disappeared. Jordan nodded once. Sharp, decisive. Let's go. Security escorted Jordan and the mayor down the hallway, past staring officers. Some looked guilty. Some looked afraid. Some looked like they knew more than they'd ever admit. Calloway's office was a wreck. Drawers open. Papers scattered. A picture frame shattered on the floor. But nothing else looked touched. No signs of struggle. No forced entry. Just a man who hurried out of his office and left a warning behind. Jordan scanned the room. Every detail. Every angle. She stepped behind the desk. That's when she saw it. A faint scratch on the floor tile. Fresh. Small. Almost invisible, unless you were someone who noticed things. Jordan crouched. It was a drag mark. From a chair? No. From a safe. Her eyes lifted slowly to the bottom cabinet. Locked. The mayor stepped closer. What is it? Jordan exhaled. He moved something. She pointed. Whatever was here, he took it. A captain entered behind them. Commissioner, we checked his home already. He's not there. Garage is empty. He took his personal weapon and left his badge. Jordan absorbed that. A man fleeing with a warning and a weapon was not a man hoping to negotiate. He was a man preparing for impact, and maybe trying to destroy evidence, or hide it. A quiet cul-de-sac. 2 stories. Manicured lawn. But inside, a different story. Jordan walked through with her gloves on. Tables cleared. Trash taken out. No mail. No food on the counters. This wasn't a sudden escape. This was preparation. Calculation. Calloway had been expecting trouble. Not from the city. From the investigation. She climbed the stairs. His bedroom was neat. Almost staged. Then she noticed something odd. The vent cover. Scratched screws. Slightly misaligned. Jordan motioned to an officer. Unscrew it. He did. Behind the vent, wrapped in a clear zip bag, a small external hard drive. Jordan's stomach tightened. Bag it, she said, and bring it to my office. Now. Jordan connected the hard drive. Her investigator hovered beside her. Folders appeared. Then subfolders. Then video thumbnails. Then, Jordan's breath caught. Body cam files. Unreleased ones. Hidden ones. Deleted ones. Different officers. Different stops. Different citizens. Each file was time-stamped. Each one marked with the initials. DC. Daniel Calloway. Her investigator whispered. He kept copies. Insurance. Jordan's pulse raced. But the last folder froze her hand. It was labeled Brookside Implementation Package. She clicked it open. Documents, emails, memos. A chain of communication between Calloway and a city council member. Council member Renford. The same Renford who publicly championed low complaint numbers. The same Renford who endorsed Calloway's rapid promotions. Jordan's chest tightened. These weren't conversations about safety. They were about image. Cover-ups. Pressure to manipulate complaint data for election cycles. A web. A system. And Calloway wasn't the spider. He was the man holding the broom, sweeping everything under the rug. Jordan pressed a hand against her forehead. "This is bigger than the department," she whispered. Her investigator nodded. "This goes into city leadership." Jordan's voice steadied. "Then we bring it all to the council hearing." She reached for the drive, but the investigator's head snapped up. "Commissioner, your office camera feed just shut off." Jordan blinked. "What?" "Your office feed went black. Someone's inside." Jordan didn't think. She moved. Jordan's heels struck the floor hard. Her breath was crisp. Her heartbeat was steady. She turned the corner and froze. Her office door stood open, not forced, just open. A shadow moved inside. A man's shape, large, shoulders squared. Jordan's security detail shouted behind her, "Step back, Commissioner." But she didn't. She stepped forward, because she recognized the stance, the silhouette, the gait. Calloway. He turned slowly, not with rage, with resignation, with a man who had nothing left to lose. He held a file in his hand. Her file. Jordan inhaled sharply. "What are you doing?" she asked. Calloway looked at her, or rather, through her. "You weren't supposed to see all that." Jordan's voice didn't waver. "You ran." "No," he said quietly. "I was removed." Jordan stiffened. "By who?" Calloway took a step closer. The security officer aimed his weapon. Calloway didn't flinch. "They think I told you something," he said softly. "They think I broke the circle." Jordan's brows knit. "Who?" Calloway swallowed. His voice dropped to a whisper. "You're investigating the wrong people." Her skin chilled. Calloway handed her the file, then leaned in slightly. "They know you're coming," he said. "And they're already ahead of you." Before she could respond, a window shattered behind him. Glass exploded inward. Jordan ducked. Security officers yelled. Calloway staggered, a dart sticking out of his neck. A dart. He stared at Jordan, eyes wide, disbelieving. Then he collapsed. Hard, unmoving. Jordan gasped, rushing forward. "Calloway!" Security grabbed her shoulders. "Stay back, Commissioner. Stay back." But Jordan stared at the dart. Small, black-tipped, not police-issued. Someone had silenced the man who was about to talk. Someone watching, listening, waiting for the right second to strike. Calloway's last breath escaped in a faint wheeze. The message he tried to deliver died with him. But the file in Jordan's hand? That was the real target. Shaking, she opened it, and her heart dropped. Because inside, it wasn't a report, not evidence, not a threat, but a list. A list of names, some crossed out, some circled, all connected. Her eyes scanned the circled ones, and froze when she reached the last name. Her own. Jordan Blake, next review. The room blurred. Her pulse hammered. Security shouted into the radios. Calloway wasn't protecting himself. He was warning her. Someone had marked her. Someone with reach. Someone with control. Someone who could eliminate a sergeant in a government office during business hours. And they had circled her name for a reason. She realized the truth in a sickening wave. This wasn't just about misconduct in Brookside. This was about silencing accountability, about keeping the system untouched, about burying anyone who threatened it. Calloway wasn't running. He was hiding. And Jordan, she had just become the next target. If truth scares those in power, that means it's worth uncovering. Share and subscribe for this story. Calloway's body lay still on the floor. Security swarmed the hallway. Uniforms thundered. Radios screamed. But Jordan heard none of it. Her focus stayed locked on the list in her hands. Names, institutions, dates, circles and checkmarks like a private ledger of control. At the top, Council Member Renford. The same Renford who pushed Calloway. The same Renford who demanded low complaint numbers. The same Renford who fought Jordan's appointment quietly, then pretended to support her publicly. This wasn't a discovery. This was exposure. This was a spotlight aimed straight into the rot. Jordan inhaled deeply. She wasn't afraid. She was furious. The city exploded. News outlets ran headlines. Calloway found dead inside the commissioner's office. Corruption in Brookside? Investigation expands to the council chamber. The mayor called an emergency meeting. Council President Avery summoned every member. Pratt and Mills were placed in protective custody, not for their safety, but to prevent them from fleeing. Jordan triggered a full internal lockdown. Every document, every email, every record, seized. Her investigator worked through the night, pulling every thread. And at 3:12 a.m., something broke. Her investigator burst into the room, laptop in hand. "Commissioner, you need to hear this." Minutes later, an audio file played. Jordan sat still, hands clasped tightly. A meeting. A private meeting. Voices she recognized. Council Member Renford. 2 other council members. Calloway. Someone else, unknown. A deep voice. Confidence. Cold. The unknown voice said, "Brookside's record has to stay clean. Numbers down. Complaints quiet." Renford replied, "And if someone pushes back?" The voice answered, "Then we push back harder." Then Calloway's voice, "What about Blake?" A pause. The voice lowered. "She won't last. She'll quit. Or she'll learn to play along." Jordan's stomach twisted. The men had never expected accountability. They expected compliance. But they were wrong. Very wrong. And Jordan was about to show them. Morning hit with a storm of cameras outside City Hall. Inside the chamber, Council Member Renford sat in his seat like he owned the wood it was built from. Expensive suit. Calm eyes. Fake concern plastered on his face. Jordan entered with the hard drive. The file list. The audio. The truth. Avery opened the session. "Commissioner Blake," she said, "you may present your findings." Jordan moved to the podium. Her voice never wavered. The harassment incident at Brookside Park was not an accident. It was a symptom. She placed the hard drive on the podium. This contains suppressed bodycam files, altered complaints, and communications between Sergeant Calloway and members of this council. Specifically, she turned, looked directly at Renford. Council Member Renford. The chamber erupted. Renford slammed his hand on the table. "This is slander." Jordan clicked the audio file. His voice filled the room. His exact words. His exact tone. His exact corruption, unmasked. Renford's face drained. Council members stared. Cameras zoomed. The mayor covered her mouth. Jordan spoke over the uproar. "You thought silence bought protection. You thought numbers mattered more than people. You hid behind politics while citizens suffered." Her voice sharpened. "And you underestimated the wrong woman." Renford tried to stand. Officers blocked him. His power evaporated in real time. The council voted, unanimous. Immediate removal. Criminal referral. Renford was escorted out of the chamber, face hidden. Justice didn't whisper that morning. It roared. After Renford's removal, Jordan turned her focus back to Pratt and Mills. They entered the chamber for their final review, heads bowed. Jordan addressed them directly. "You didn't just fail to respect the public," she said. "You became tools in someone else's abuse of power." Pratt swallowed. Mills stared at his shoes. But Jordan surprised the room. "This isn't only punishment," she continued. "This is accountability." She recommended termination, mandatory retraining, barred from future law enforcement positions. The council approved it instantly. For the first time, real consequences landed where they belonged. But Jordan wasn't finished. Not yet. The park looked the same. Same sunlight. Same breeze. Same bench. The place where it started. Jordan sat down slowly. No laptop. Just a moment to breathe. A local reporter approached her carefully. "Commissioner Blake, after everything that happened, why return here?" Jordan looked at the bench, then at the trees, the sky, the community that refused to stay quiet. "Because justice shouldn't just happen behind closed doors," she said softly. "It should happen where the disrespect began." The reporter nodded. "And what do you hope people learn from this?" Jordan's eyes warmed. They saw a woman alone on a bench, and saw weakness. She looked straight ahead. What they didn't see was power wrapped in calm. She stood, straightened her blazer, soft wind brushing past her shoulders. "Jordan Blake didn't raise her voice," she said. "She raised accountability." A crowd nearby paused to listen. Jordan walked away with that quiet, unshakable strength only truth can give someone.